The massive alien structure hung in space like a dark omen, blocking out the stars as it positioned itself between Earth and the Moon. Inside the United Nations building in New York, world leaders gathered in an emergency session that would determine humanity's future. Ambassador Veltar materialized in the center of the assembly hall without warning. His body was made of what looked like living crystal, tall and angular, with light pulsing through his transparent form in patterns that hurt human eyes to follow. When he spoke, his voice came through translation devices that made every word sound cold and final. "I bring greetings from the Hegemony Council," Veltar began, though his tone suggested anything but friendliness. "We have observed your species for some time. You have developed beyond our initial projections, but you remain primitive in the ways that matter." President Kim Tae-ho felt his jaw clench. The Korean leader had spent his entire political career dealing with threats and negotiations. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. Beside him, Admiral Park Ji-woo sat perfectly still, her military training keeping her expression neutral. Even as anger burned in her chest, "Your species has been fortunate," the alien continued. "The asteroid belt surrounding your world contains quantum crystals of exceptional purity. These resources are required for our expansion into the outer spiral regions. We have decided to incorporate your system into the hegemony." Veltar gestured with one crystalline hand, and holographic displays appeared throughout the chamber. They showed massive alien ships, weapons that could crack planets, and industrial stations that dwarfed Earth's largest cities. "You have 72 of your standard hours to comply with our terms," Veltar announced. "All military assets must be surrendered. Your orbital defense platforms will be dismantled. Your species will accept tributary status under hegemony governance. This is not a negotiation." The translation devices carried his words to every language simultaneously, ensuring that every human leader understood exactly what was being demanded. Total surrender. Complete subjugation. President Kim Tae-ho stood slowly. "And if we refuse?" Veltar's crystalline form pulsed brighter for a moment, what might have been the alien equivalent of amusement. "Refusal is not possible. Your weapons cannot harm our vessels. Your technology is centuries behind ours. You're insects who have found themselves living on a diamond mine. Be grateful that we offer you the chance to survive as our servants." General Lee Min-ho, sitting in the Korean delegation, felt his hands form fists under the table. The military officer had spent 30 years preparing for threats to his nation and his world. But those preparations had always assumed human enemies. This was something else entirely. Dr. Choi So-young, Earth's leading expert on theoretical physics, studied the holographic displays with growing dread. The alien technology was beyond anything humanity had achieved. Their ships moved without visible propulsion. Their weapons operated on principles she could barely comprehend, and their industrial capacity seemed limitless. "You will broadcast your surrender on all communication channels," Veltar continued. "Your military leaders will report to designated collection points. Resistance will result in the sterilization of your world and the harvesting of your resources by automated systems. This has been done before." The alien's casual mention of genocide sent chills through every person in the chamber. This wasn't a bluff or a negotiating tactic. The hegemony had destroyed entire civilizations for far less than Earth's defiance. Veltar's form began to fade. Preparing to return to his ship, he delivered one final message. "Do not mistake our offer of tributary status as weakness or mercy. You exist at our pleasure. Our species continues because we have found a use for you. Remember this when you consider your response." The chamber fell silent as the alien vanished, leaving only the smell of ozone and the weight of an impossible decision. Around the world, similar meetings were taking place as hegemony ambassadors delivered identical ultimatums to every major government in the hours that followed. Emergency sessions convened in every capital city, military leaders gathered in secure bunkers to assess humanity's chances in a war they could not possibly win. Scientists like Dr. Choi worked frantically to understand alien technology that seemed to violate the laws of physics. President Kim Tae-ho found himself in a secure conference room beneath Seoul, surrounded by advisors who all carried the same look of barely controlled panic. The numbers were simple and devastating. Earth's most powerful weapons were useless against alien shields. Humanity's fastest ships were slower than alien cargo vessels. Even their largest space stations were tiny compared to the hegemony's smallest warships. Admiral Park Ji-woo studied tactical reports that painted an impossible picture. Every simulation, every analysis, every strategic assessment reached the same conclusion. Resistance meant extinction. Humanity's only rational choice was surrender. But as the 72-hour countdown began, something else stirred in the human spirit. In homes and cities across Earth, people gathered around screens, showing the alien ultimatum. They saw the impossible odds, understood the certain death that awaited them if they fought back, and they began to make a different choice entirely. The aliens had calculated everything except the one variable that made humans unique in the galaxy. Sometimes, survival wasn't the most important thing. The world held its breath as President Kim Tae-ho walked toward the podium in the Blue House press room. Every television, radio, and internet stream on Earth carried the signal. In the hegemony fleet hovering beyond the moon, alien commanders watched with confident amusement, expecting to witness humanity's surrender. Kim Tae-ho's hands were steady as he gripped the edges of the podium. Behind him, the flags of 195 nations stood in perfect rows, representing every country on Earth. His weathered face showed no fear, only determination that had been building for the past 72 hours. "Citizens of Earth," he began, his voice carrying across the planet. "We have been given a choice between slavery and death. Choose neither." The alien translation systems aboard the hegemony ships processed his words instantly. Ambassador Valtar's crystalline form pulsed with what might have been surprise. This was not going according to their calculations. "We do not kneel," President Kim declared, looking directly into the cameras. "Freedom is not something we can trade away, no matter the cost. Today, humanity stands together as one people, under one sky, with one answer to those who would make us slaves." Across the world, people gathered in streets and homes listened to words that would echo through history. Children pressed close to their parents. Soldiers stood straighter in their barracks. Workers stopped their machines to hear their leaders speak for all humanity. "Our answer is no." The transmission switched to the Seoul Defense Center, where Admiral Park Ji-woo stood before a wall of monitors showing star charts and ship positions. For 40 years, she had served in the Korean Navy, working her way up through ranks that had once been closed to women. Now she commanded Earth's last hope. "For 10 years, we have prepared for this day," she announced, her voice calm and professional. "Project Prometheus was created not in hope of invasion but in certainty of it. We knew that someday someone would come to take what was ours." Behind her, technicians began activating systems that had been hidden for a decade. Deep space monitors came online, revealing ship movements that had been invisible to normal sensors. Communication arrays powered up, connecting secret bases scattered throughout the solar system. Captain Yoon Sung-min floated in the command chair of the destroyer Unyielding. 13 astronomical units from Earth, in the shadow of Jupiter's largest moon. Around him, his crew of 200 volunteers worked at stations they had trained on in absolute secrecy. Every person aboard had volunteered knowing they would probably die. "All stations report ready, Captain," reported Lieutenant Kim Na-young from the navigation console. Her fingers moved across controls that operated technology no alien had ever encountered. Human engineering didn't follow the same patterns as other species. Where aliens built for efficiency and logic, humans built for survival and surprise. The Unyielding was not alone. Dozens of ships powered up throughout the outer system, emerging from hiding places that had concealed them. For years, they were smaller than alien vessels, built with materials that absorbed sensor beams rather than reflecting them. Their weapons were crude compared to hegemony energy cannons, but they carried something the aliens had never faced: human desperation. Fleet. Commander Cathera received the transmission of humanity's refusal aboard his flagship, the massive dreadnought, Dominion's Edge. The insect species had actually said no. In 3,000 years of hegemony expansion, no primitive world had ever refused their generous offer of slavery. Dispatch the demonstration fleet, he ordered his subordinates. 50 ships should be more than sufficient to break their will. Target their largest cities first. Make it spectacular enough that they understand the futility of resistance. The alien ships moved with deadly grace, their hulls gleaming like polished metal in the sunlight. Each vessel was larger than Earth's biggest space stations, powered by technology that could crack planets. Their crews were professionals who had conquered dozens of worlds without ever facing serious opposition. Colonel Ngisu watched their approach from Ceres Station, hidden among the asteroids between Mars and Jupiter. Around her, automated weapon systems that had been disguised as mining equipment for 8 years began their transformation. Asteroid processing plants revealed themselves as missile launchers. Communication relays became targeting systems. Weapons. Free, she transmitted across the hidden network. All units engage on my mark. The aliens detected the hidden bases at the last moment, their sensors finally recognizing the camouflaged military installations. But recognition came too late. Human weapons didn't follow alien logic. Instead of elegant energy beams, or sophisticated, guided missiles, Earth's defenders launched chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds, kinetic kill vehicles. Rocks thrown hard enough to shatter starship hulls. The first alien vessel died before its crew understood what was happening. A 10-ton tungsten rod, accelerated by hidden mass drivers throughout the asteroid belt, punched through shields designed to stop energy weapons. The impact released energy equivalent to a nuclear bomb, vaporizing the ship instantly. Admiral Park Ji-woo watched the tactical display as red dots representing alien ships began disappearing. The demonstration fleet had expected to face desperate humans armed with primitive missiles. Instead, they found themselves in a carefully prepared killing field, facing weapons their technology had no answer for. All units execute Protocol 7, she commanded. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. The battle for Earth had begun, and humanity's enemies were about to learn why some species should never be underestimated. The void around Luna Base erupted in brilliant flashes of light as 50 alien warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Their hulls gleamed like silver daggers against the starfield, each one massive enough to dwarf Earth's largest space stations. Fleet Commander Cathara had come to teach humanity a lesson in the cost of defiance. Captain Yoon Sung-min felt the unyielding shudder as alien plasma bolts streaked past his ship's hull. The destroyer was small compared to the enemy vessels, barely 200 meters long and armed with weapons that seemed primitive next to the aliens' energy cannons. But Yoon had not come here to fight a fair battle. Enemy fleet is in formation, reported Lieutenant Kim Na-young from her position at the sensor station. 50 ships arranged in standard hegemony attack pattern. They're targeting our engines. First trying to disable us for capture? Yoon smiled grimly. The aliens still thought this would be a conventional space battle, with orderly formations and predictable tactics. They were about to learn how wrong they were. All ships, this is unyielding actual. He broadcast on the command frequency. Execute Meteor Protocol. Remember, we're not warships today. We're bullets with hearts that beat. Across the battle zone, 30 human vessels received the command and began their transformation. Ships that had been built to look like destroyers, and frigates revealed their true purpose. They were not meant to survive this battle. They were meant to die as effectively as possible. Captain Moon Hae-jin commanded the corvette Defiance from her position at the center of the bridge. Around her 23 crew members worked with calm efficiency, knowing that none of them would see Earth again. The ship's nuclear warhead, normally stored in a secure magazine, had been moved to the bow and armed. Target acquired, she announced as an alien cruiser filled her view screen. The enemy vessel was 3 times larger than her ship, its hull, bristling with weapon emplacements and protected by energy shields that could stop any conventional missile. All hands, prepare for ramming speed. The Defiance accelerated directly toward the alien ship, its engines pushed beyond safe limits. Plasma bolts hammered its hull, tearing away armor plating and venting atmosphere into space. Warning alarms. screamed throughout the bridge as systems failed one by one. The alien cruiser's captain watched, the small human ship approaching with what might have been confusion. Their databases contained information about thousands of species, but none had ever used suicide attacks as a primary tactic. By the time he understood what was happening, it was too late to change course. The Defiance struck the cruiser's shield. At nearly half the speed of light, the energy barrier designed to deflect plasma beams and particle weapons could not stop the kinetic impact of an entire starship. The shield collapsed in a cascade of sparks. The corvette's hull punched through the alien vessel's armor like a bullet through paper. "Captain." Moon's nuclear warhead detonated inside the enemy ship's power core. The explosion tore the cruiser apart from within, sending debris spinning across kilometers of space. In the span of 30 seconds, humanity's smallest warship had destroyed one of the hegemony's most powerful vessels. Similar scenes played out across the battle zone as human ships revealed tactics that no alien database had ever recorded. Righteous Fury rammed a destroyer while broadcasting Korean folk songs on all frequencies. The Last Stand used its dying moments to launch every missile it carried directly into an enemy battleship's hangar bay. Lieutenant Commander Bae Suho coordinated the chaos from his command ship Relentless. Around his vessel, hundreds of objects that appeared to be space debris suddenly came to life. What the aliens had dismissed as wreckage from destroyed human ships were actually camouflaged drones, each one armed with a nuclear warhead and guided by artificial intelligence programmed with one simple command: find an alien ship and explode. The drone swarm moved with unpredictable patterns that confused alien targeting computers, where the hegemony expected orderly formations and logical tactics. They found chaos that seemed to have no plan except mutual destruction. Their weapons were designed to engage ships that fought according to established rules of warfare, not missiles that thought and pilots who chose death over defeat. Admiral Park Jiwoo watched the battle unfold from Luna Base's command center, her face illuminated by the glow of tactical displays showing the impossible. Human ships, outnumbered and outgunned by ratios that should have guaranteed defeat, were winning through sheer audacity and willingness to sacrifice everything. "Alien fleet is breaking formation," reported Colonel Lee Dong-wook from the tracking station. "They're trying to withdraw at a long range where their energy weapons have advantage over our ramming attacks. But the human ships pursued them like hunting wolves, their crews singing battle songs and broadcasting defiant messages even as their hulls burned around them." Captain Park Min-ho of the destroyer Indomitable rammed his ship through 3 alien vessels before his reactor finally exploded, taking a 4th enemy with him. When the battle ended, 47 alien ships had been destroyed or damaged beyond repair. Only 3 vessels escaped to carry word back to the hegemony fleet. They brought with them a message that would shake the alien empire to its foundations. The humans could not be intimidated, could not be reasoned with, would not surrender. Fleet Commander Cathara received the survivors' reports with growing disbelief. The primitive species had just destroyed a demonstration fleet through tactics that violated every principle of civilized warfare. They had turned their own ships into weapons and their crews into ammunition. The hegemony's pride was wounded. Wounded predators were always the most dangerous. The darkness between stars filled with metal as Fleet Commander Cathara's armada approached the Sol system. 300 warships moved in perfect formation, their hulls stretching for kilometers in every direction. Each vessel carried enough firepower to level continents, and together they represented the largest military force the hegemony had ever assembled for a single world. Cathara stood on the bridge of his flagship, studying tactical displays that showed Earth's pitiful defenses. The humans had perhaps 50 operational ships remaining after their suicidal attack on his demonstration fleet. Simple mathematics suggested this battle would last less than an hour. "Begin the assault," he commanded. "Target their major population. Centers first. Make them watch their cities burn before we finish them." But as the alien fleet crossed Neptune's orbit, Admiral Park Ji-woo was ready for them. Deep within Ceres Station, surrounded by tons of asteroid rock that had hidden her command center for 8 years, she watched enemy ships appear on her screens like drops of poison in clean water. "All stations, This is Prometheus Command. She broadcast across the hidden network that connected hundreds of secret bases throughout the solar system. Execute Protocol 0. Show them what happens when they threaten our home. Across the asteroid belt, mining colonies that had operated for decades suddenly revealed their true purpose. What appeared to be simple or processing facilities opened, like metal flowers, exposing missile launchers that had been built into their very foundations. Automated defense platforms that had masqueraded as communication satellites powered up weapons. Systems that had been waiting in silence for this moment. The transformation was breathtaking and terrifying. Humanity had turned their entire star system into a weapon, disguising military installations as civilian infrastructure for nearly a decade. Every mining station, every research outpost, every seemingly innocent piece of space hardware had been designed to kill aliens. Captain Dong-wook felt his fighters shudder as he emerged from Titan's upper atmosphere, leading a squadron of 40 pilots who had been hiding in the gas giant's swirling clouds for 3 days. The alien fleet filled his view screen like a metallic plague, but he felt no fear, only the cold satisfaction of a trap about to spring. "Shut, Ghost Squadron. This is Ghost Leader," he transmitted. "We are weapons-free. Remember, we don't need to destroy them all. We just need to make them bleed enough to reconsider." His fighters were small and fast, built for hit-and-run tactics. Rather than prolonged combat, they carried nuclear torpedoes designed to punch through alien shields at close range. But getting close enough meant flying through walls of plasma fire that could vaporize a ship instantly. The aliens detected the human fighters at the last moment, their sensors finally picking up the small signatures emerging from Titan's atmosphere. But confusion spread through the fleet as similar contacts appeared near Jupiter, Mars, and even Mercury. The humans were everywhere. Emerging from hiding places that should have been impossible to reach or maintain, Major Kim Yan-woo watched from the bridge of the alien battleship Conquest's Edge, wearing a stolen hegemony uniform that had taken her infiltration team 6 months to acquire. Around her, alien crew members worked at their stations. Unaware that death walked among them in human form, she and 23 other saboteurs had infiltrated hegemony vessels during the brief ceasefire following the first battle, using captured alien shuttles and forged identification codes. They had spent weeks studying alien technology and planting explosives in critical systems. "All teams execute on my mark," she whispered into her concealed communicator. Throughout the alien fleet, hidden bombs prepared to detonate. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers. But they had never faced an enemy willing to sacrifice everything for victory. The explosions began as the hegemony fleet entered combat formation. Massive alien battleships simply vanished in balls of nuclear fire as their power cores overloaded. Others suffered critical system failures as hidden explosives destroyed navigation computers and weapon controls. In the span of 30 seconds, the Invincible Armada lost 60 ships to an enemy they hadn't even known was aboard. Commander Lee Hae-won broadcast from her position on Luna base as the battle erupted across the solar system. Her voice cut through alien communication channels using captured hegemony encryption codes, carrying messages that would haunt enemy crews for years to come. "You wanted our resources?" she taunted as human missiles streaked toward alien ships like swarms of angry wasps. "Come and take them from our corpses. Every rock in this system is armed. Every piece of space junk is a bomb. We turned our home into your graveyard." The battle raged across billions of kilometers of space. From Mercury's solar collectors that revealed themselves as particle beam weapons to Kuiper Belt outposts that launched asteroids accelerated to incredible speeds, the aliens found themselves fighting not just human ships, but an entire civilization that had prepared for this moment with the dedication of the truly desperate. Fleet Commander Cathara watched his perfect formation dissolve into chaos as hidden weapons emerged from every direction. His ships were dying faster than his tactical computers could process, destroyed by enemies that appeared from nowhere and vanished like ghosts. "Sir, we've lost over half the fleet," reported his tactical officer, the alien's voice shaking with disbelief. The humans have turned their entire system into a fortress. Every installation is armed. Every ship is a missile. Every civilian is a soldier. When the smoke finally cleared, less than 100 alien ships remained functional. They limped away. From Sol System carrying a message that would reshape galactic politics forever, some species could not be conquered through force alone. Some fights cost more to win than anyone was willing to pay. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Sol System, and the galaxy was burning. From the outer rim worlds to the core territories, rebellions flared like wildfire across the hegemony's empire. 13 worlds had thrown off their chains, armed. With human weapons and inspired by humanity's impossible victory over the alien overlords, Ambassador Veltar's crystalline form flickered with nervous energy as his diplomatic vessel approached the neutral meeting point at Ursel 4 Lagrange. Point. The proud alien who had once delivered ultimatums to a primitive world now came as a beggar. Seeking terms from the species he had tried to enslave, the meeting chamber aboard the neutral station was simple and functional. Built by human engineers who had no patience for alien luxury, Admiral Park Ji-woo entered the room bearing scars that told the story of humanity's desperate fight for survival. Her left arm was cybernetic now, replaced after the defense of Europa Station, where she had held off 3 alien cruisers with nothing but mining equipment and determination. "Admiral," Veltar began, his translated voice lacking the arrogance that had once defined every word. "I come bearing an offer from the Hegemony Council." Park Ji-woo studied the alien ambassador. With eyes that had seen too much death, around her neck hung a small pendant made from the hull of the Unyielding. Captain Yoon Sung-min's ship that had died taking an entire alien squadron with it. Every human military officer now wore such memorials to remember the price of freedom. 6 months ago, you offered us slavery, she replied in perfect, measured tones. What do you offer now? The alien's form dimmed, a sign of deep discomfort among his species. Partnership, trade agreements, mutual defense pacts. The hegemony recognizes that humanity has special qualities that would benefit our alliance. President Lee, Song Min-kyung, entered the chamber at that moment, flanked by security officers who watched Veltar with undisguised hostility. The new president had taken office after Kim Tae-ho died in the siege of Luna Base, and her first act had been to broadcast humanity's defiance to every world in the galaxy. Partnership implies equality, she said, taking her seat across from the alien. Are you prepared to treat humans as equals rather than potential slaves? Veltar's crystalline body pulsed with colors that indicated extreme agitation. The concept of treating a primitive species as equals violated every principle the hegemony had followed for 3,000 years. But the alternative was watching. Their empire collapsed as world after world followed Earth's example. The Council has reviewed your species' performance in combat, he admitted reluctantly. Your tactics are effective against our standard military doctrine. Several tributary worlds have requested human military advisors to help them achieve independence. What he didn't say was that the rebellions were spreading faster than the hegemony could suppress them. The Kepler colonies had successfully destroyed an entire pacification fleet using modified human ramming tactics. The Vega system had mined its entire asteroid belt with nuclear weapons, making any invasion impossibly costly. 13 worlds had become 30, then 60, and too many to count. Captain Park Jae-sung stood ready in Earth's orbital shipyard, preparing to depart for Kepler 44 to be with a team of military advisors and enough weapons to arm an entire resistance. Movement. His ship, the Liberation, carried cargo that would have been impossible to imagine a year ago. Humans traveling to alien worlds, not as slaves or tourists, but as teachers of revolution. The people of Kepler 44b have requested our assistance in achieving their independence. President Song informed Veltar, we have agreed to provide military advisors and defensive weapons. I trust the hegemony will not interfere with this humanitarian mission. The alien ambassador's form flickered with what might have been panic. KEPLER 442b was a strategic system, home to 17 billion civilians and 3 major military bases. If it fell to human-inspired rebellion, the entire sector would follow. Within months. Such interference would violate the partnership agreement, Veltar said carefully. The hegemony seeks peaceful coexistence with humanity and its ... allies. Admiral Park Ji-woo smiled for the first time in months. It was not a pleasant expression. Then we understand each other. Earth will honor the treaty as long as the hegemony respects the sovereignty of free worlds. As the formal documents were signed, a message prepared by Earth's finest writers was broadcast across every communication channel in the galaxy. It was simple, direct, and carried the weight of absolute conviction. To all beings who suffer under tyranny, resistance is possible, freedom can be won. Some species cannot be broken, only respected. Stand up, fight back, help will come. Words reached mining colonies on the edge of space, factory worlds where alien overseers worked slaves to death, research stations where scientists labored under threat of execution. In languages the hegemony had tried to suppress, and through communication networks they thought they controlled, the message spread like a virus of hope. Commander Lee Hae-won prepared the final transmission from Earth's newly constructed deep space array. The massive antenna could reach every inhabited system in the local galaxy, carrying humanity's voice to civilizations that had forgotten what freedom meant. This is Earth calling all worlds, she broadcast into the void. We have proven that oppression can be defeated, slavery can be broken. No species is too primitive to claim its birthright of freedom. The age of empires is ending. The age of free worlds has begun. The ripple effects of humanity's victory would reshape galactic civilization forever, one liberated world at a time.